All right, we're looking at Chapter 4, Video 16. We're going to talk about nested decision structures. Now, what a nested decision structure means is it's a decision structure that has a decision structure in a decision structure. So hence the word nesting. So it's something inside of something else. So the syntax reads where the same as a regular decision structure, if the expression, but that equates to if it's true that there's a second decision that needs to be made. If there's a second decision that needs to be made based on the first decision or expression, then you have to put that inside of. So they even get tabbed in, or what they refer to as nested. And nesting just means it's something inside of something else. And you can keep nesting these decision structures, and I think you can go up to 16 levels, and here there's just 2 levels. So if you have the first condition expression was true, it would execute this one right here, and that would execute that statement. If it was false, then it would execute this statement right here. All right, so that's the general idea behind what a nested decision structure is. It's just simply another if statement or an if-else statement within an if statement. So if we were to look at this in a flowchart fashion, you can see here that there's a decision that needs to be made with a salary. So the salary here, for example, if you make greater than or equal to $40,000, if you don't make more than 40,000, you only make 30,000, for example, that's false. So you take this direction and display, minimum salary requirements not met. So therefore, the program just executes and it doesn't do anything. So, but if this expression is true, then we're going to ask another expression. And anytime you see a diamond shape in a flowchart, this is actually a direction or a decision that has to be made. And it's pointing off into 2 directions. So if they made, let's say, 50,000, then that would be true. It would send the flow over to here. And then this decision is nested inside of the first one. Years on the job. So if that question is false, so they make $50,000, but they only work for the company for 1 year, then it would be false. It would take this direction. So the minimum years at the current job were not met. Therefore, they don't get some kind of qualification. So then they ends the program. But if both conditions are true, so that they make $50,000 and they work for the company for 5 years, let's say, then it's true, follow the direction, and display you qualify for the load, whatever that happens to mean. Maybe it's a workload issue. So it's based on salary, it's based on seniority or number of years that you've worked on the job. So why we use a statement like this is to map out the logic. And from here, we can then translate that into syntax. So that's what it would look like if you were to write that previous one, that's this one right here, and look at it as syntax. It would look like this. So you ask the question, if the salary is greater than $40,000, that's true, let's ask another question. How many years have they been on the job? If salary was false, it would jump down to the bottom of that and say, well, your minimum salary requirements were not met. All right. But if that was true, that first expression was true, let's ask the second condition, the nested decision, and how many years were they on the job? If there were 5, then it would go down and perform this one right here. All right, so that gives you kind of an idea of how these nested decision structures work. But there's other ways of writing this. So what the book does is go in and show you how you can write nested decisions based on multiple expressions. So when you have 2 or 3 decisions, a nesting syntax like this might work very well. For 2, absolutely works well. But if you've got 3 or more, then you have to start looking at different decision structures. And that's where we get this if, else, if statement. And if you look at it here, what we're doing is we've got a situation where we've got, let's say, a range of marks. All students understand how their grades and their letter grades work. So what we're looking at here is another type of way of saying if the first decision isn't met, well then say if the second decision isn't met, else if the third decision isn't met. And this syntax gives us a lot more flexibility when we have multiple tests, multiple expressions that we have to test for. And they refer to this as the if-else statement. All right, so those are a couple of the syntaxes. So what we'll do is have a look at some of these in the next video.